We'll get cracking then. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very well. How about yourself?
Yeah, really good, good. Tired, didn't get much sleep last night, but again, one of them.
Yeah, I feel it as well. I feel it. I had a really weird dream last night. So it's interesting we're talking. Very, very weird a dream last night. I'm literally consuming a lot of drugs throughout the night.
Yeah.
Very, very random night. Weird night.
Yeah, that's it. It's been a story of my life. I sort of, if I sleep in the daytime, like yesterday, I had a nap for about an hour. That was it. Then not sleep at night. It's about 3:30 this morning.
Yeah.
I sort of eventually nodded off. Then was up again at 7. Me and my missus and my best mate and his missus went to a car boot for something to do. But then
nice. Yeah,
but
I haven't been to a car boot for a while.
We haven't been for years. He goes regularly, but it's not something we do. But we thought that's a change.
Yeah,
Missus got some cheap little cleaning products and little bits for the kids.
Oh, mate, everyone loves a bargain, right?
Yeah, this is it. She loves it. She absolutely loves it. So we always start with all my guests is take us back to your childhood.
Yeah, my childhood. Well, I was born in South Africa. I was there for 7 years.
Yeah.
And it was my mum that initially first moved back to Madeira, our native country.
Yeah.
Reasons being, we had an African lady that lived behind it. She used to look after me. And there was rumours that there was a witch doctor that was after me. This is what I found out. So apparently there was a witch doctor always lurking around the school and always had his eye on me. And I was born with white and blonde hair, so I think I drew attention to myself.
Oh, okay.
And so she was always saying to my mum, look, I don't feel comfortable. And there was all that stuff going on with Nelson Mandela at the time as well. I think this was 1993, I can't remember. But all I know is a big portion of why my mum fled the country was because of what I just described. And also, apparently there was posting notes all over the lampposts enticing rape and murder of all the whites.
Okay, wow.
So, yeah, I think my mum was already scared at this point in time as well, because my dad, he worked at like big restaurant, supermarket chains. And a couple of times he was robbed.
Yeah.
Being held hostage and so on and so forth. That couldn't have been nice for him. But yeah, the African lady, the caretaker, she was saying, look, please move. Always saying that. And so my mum left. My dad stayed behind. And yeah, we went back to our native country, Madeira. My parents had always said that I was Portuguese. And that's where I was from. My dad didn't come back to, he stayed in South Africa for about a year.
Yeah.
And I believe that was very challenging for himself. He was very suicidal at one point, I heard. He had a gun to protect himself. I remember he used to clean it up. That's one of the memories I've got growing up, and I was like, 6? I remember opening it up and there was like a spring. That's what I remember. He took out like a spring and he's cleaning it. But yeah, he had that obviously to help protect himself, and I heard apparently he tried to put it up into his mouth. He drank and must have missed us a lot, you know.
Yeah, it would be hard.
Hard. It's really, really hard. Being a single father as well myself, it's one of the. But so yeah, I can't even imagine. But yeah, so that was all going on. My mum, obviously, we were in Madeira. She was pregnant of my sister. And yeah, so the relevance of all of that was, especially my parents telling me that I was Portuguese, was I used to get bullied a lot going into Madeira. And I remember one day being surrounded by a group of kids, I'm getting spat on.
Yeah.
And being told to F off back to my native, F off back to your country.
Yeah.
Right, and it was a bit too much to process. I'm 7 years old. Like,
yeah, it's a lot.
I thought I was Portuguese, and I thought I was home, and yeah, being told to F off, and I rarely speak the language as well, and I did well. I excelled well. I learned Portuguese fast. I'm doing really well, to the point I'm also doing better than everyone else, really. Which is interesting. Something I forgot really as well. But there was just, the girls used to like me as well, and I was doing well at school, and just the guys used to pick on me all the time. I used to always get punched and broken noses and this and the other, and always feel like.
So did you look different to the rest of the Portuguese kids then?
No. I think it's just because I stood out. I think because I just stood out, I was just an easy target. You know what it's like growing up. Everyone's just insecure themselves, and it's just you're trying to boys try to kind of status,
Yeah,
right? This
yeah.
kind of thing.
Peacocking and all that, and
Yeah.
pecking order.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's what it was. It's because I stood out. The girls like me, and this and the other. Now, eventually, my dad got back, and there's a few things that I'd like to bring back to these memories later on. But my dad eventually ended up coming back. But you know, one of the reasons why my parents moved to South Africa, for one, was just a better life. You know,
Yeah.
Madeira is just small. Everyone knows about each other's business. Everyone, you know, and there's not much opportunity. And I think what ended up happening actually, was my dad ended up, there was this new coffee chain down by the beach in this cut off mountain. So it was kind of half mountain. They opened this massive shop, like part of a mountain, and it was quite elaborate with glass. But
Yeah, sounds nice.
Yeah, it was like a cafe with gold, and they also sold gold. So there was those gold bars and so on and so forth over there. And he got the opportunity to work there, but things, I think, I don't know, something happened. One of which some gold was stolen, and my dad was accused. Yeah, yeah. So you know, he's got this going on, and they were just questioning their lives, and he had an opportunity from an old friend that was also from South Africa, ended up coming into the UK, and said, "Hey, come over here." So again, my dad went and moved away for another year. That was hard for my mum, just by herself, and eventually we came over here, and you know, sometimes thinking about my dad, I think to myself, you know, he's always had to do what he's got to do, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes throughout my life, I might have just been a bit of a whinger, and you know, you don't really get on with things.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
He never moaned, never complained, and this and the other. And what I meant by that is, even when he came here to the UK, from my understanding, he used to, instead of even getting the bus, he would walk for about an hour every day, getting back just to save the money, you know, to just come back and do.
Sounds like a proud man.
Very, very proud man. Yeah, very, very proud man, and very you know, he's the bread. It's always been the bread and butter, and that's why I remember my dad. He never minds. Never minds. So what I meant by that is just quickly having that reflection, like fucking hell, I made a lot. I made a lot compared to him. But so we ended up coming into the UK, and that was just exciting at first, but weird at the same time, because then part of the memories was my parents had to then move because they were in a shared house that we initially had to move into, and there was another guy, and there was complications between me and the other guy, where the other guy was getting aggressive with me. I can't remember what for. Maybe I was just cheeky and so on and so forth. And so then my dad and him had complications, but we ended up eventually moving, and I just remember always just getting bullied.
Yeah.
That's all I remember. Just always getting picked on because I'm foreign and this, that, and the other. And then also just being a bit too insecure around girls.
Yeah.
So I just grew up to just hate myself for my insecurity, for inadequacy, and for never sticking up for myself, and just for being uncomfortable under my own skin. And I could never figure that out. You know, I could never make sense of why I was just so awkward and off key.
Yeah.
And like I'm at arm's length through life, when looking through these foggy lenses, and just kind of like I'm not quite. That's the best way I could describe it. Kind of off key, really.
Yeah.
Eventually I ended up moving from another school to another school and moving around, and I'm finding myself, and I just remembered going into school just feeling very insecure, very like just
conscious, and
and it was alright. I've had a lot of things, but a lot of nice experiences, but at the same time just always on my guard from guys, and always wanted to be kind of like with girls, but whatever, and then also but putting on such a front. So I was loud, also a bit cocky, but always just also just a shell of myself. To sum it up, really, I just didn't value myself. I didn't really. It's hard to say how I felt back then, because obviously I'm 39 now, and I was a kid then. But I just know always just being whatever, and then having a lot of experiences as well through that development of always just trying to just always uncomfortable, whether it was with the people I used to surround myself with, because, you know, they were just as insecure as I was, and, you know, you always had to look over your back, and they were always just picking on you, or they were just always like, you just never felt safe.
Yeah.
And just not, you know, so many times walking back home after hanging around with him and just going home like feeling like, I don't have friends really, but always hanging around with him either,
Yeah.
because it's all I know. So yeah, look, I did bad at school, did really, really bad at school, because I just didn't pay attention to my results. I didn't have any self-awareness really. I didn't really understand the repercussions to things, and I was just kind of like, I don't know if maybe it makes sense that I was stuck on fight and flight mode for most of my childhood.
Yeah.
I really don't know. My parents were drinkers, for one, so I do know one of my core wounds only recently been realised, which makes sense with a lot of things that I had to. Just always feeling like my thought process didn't matter, or my feelings didn't matter, and always just having to be timid, always kind of on my guard. But yeah, I did bad at school. D's, E's, and F's.
Yeah, similar to me really. I got 2 C's in English. That was my best by
Really?
far. Yeah.
English, yeah.
Yeah.
It's still struggling to speak the language. Grammar and stuff like that. Spelling.
It's not easy, is it?
But yeah, like yeah, I remember when I got my grades, it was one of those moments that if I could have had any superpower, I would have made out like Flash, you know, just out of there, just humiliated. And also just like shit, how am I gonna face my parents, you know? And sure enough, you know, they were just so disappointed, you know, really, really disappointed. I got the opportunity to go to college to study. I wanted to be a graphic designer.
Nice.
And I got the opportunity, even though I had really, really bad grades. And I remember it went well, the interview, the guy took a liking to me and so on and so forth, the headmaster. And I remember outside, once we closed the door and the meeting was over, my dad was like, look, son, this is your last opportunity, you know, before you get into the real world. You do know that you can't fuck this up, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I know, Dad. He was like, look, you know, this is serious. And I was like, I won't mess up. He was like, son, you've got to, look, I've got to buy you a Macintosh for one. That's like a couple of grand to give you the software, Photoshop. You know, I'm going to have to take out a loan and so on and so forth. So, yeah, right, yeah. I'm like, yeah, Dad, you know, you know. Anyhow, first day I walk into college, I hear like music from the background. I'm walking down, just curious, and I was lured into these group of lads, and he was the Marlon brothers, I remember, both beatboxing. There was another dude there. He was an Italian dude, and another guy just MCing.
Yeah.
That was it. It was all downhill from there. I wanted to be an MC. I wanted to just be as cool as they were. Before you know, they're calling me Slick MC.
Oh, okay.
And I still do it to this day, colour coordinated clothes. It was something I fell in love with, colour coordinating my tops with my shoes. I still do it to this day.
But it's funny sometimes, isn't it, how certain things from childhood kind of become ingrained in us, and kind of just what we do, like you say, we're colour coded.
Well, yeah, we'll get into that in a minute, because yeah, but for sure. Well, look, I just started smoking, because that's what I forgot. At school, I started smoking marijuana and smoking cigarettes, and with them, it started going. You know, look, I wasn't paying any attention.
Yeah.
To my homework, I wasn't paying attention to nothing. I was instead making beats. I remember my dad got me the Macintosh, and all I used it was for making beats, writing music, going on MySpace. And then there was LimeWire. Do you remember that? LimeWire.
No.
So there was a software that you downloaded, and you could download music or videos.
Oh, okay.
For free.
Yeah.
And I started downloading a lot of stuff. You know, music. But what I didn't know that it was also going to start downloading videos.
Okay.
And when I started watching these videos, it was either snuff videos, some dark stuff, you know, and porn.
Yeah.
So there you go. I can't remember how old I was then. I was in college. What, that was 16, 17?
16, 17, yeah, college.
And yeah, so I'm smoking marijuana. I remember having my first experience you know, was watching porn, but with marijuana, and I realised it's an aphrodisiac, smoking marijuana.
Yeah.
That, you know, heightened sensation. So it became a reason as to why I also smoked weed, and the creation. Like when I smoked weed, you know, I was more creative and fancied myself and this and the other. And yeah, so I started smoking more weed, and just turned into a donut, really. So with everything that I described growing up, that's just how it made me just more into just complete donut. MySpace as well. MySpace was the first Facebook that was available.
Yeah, I remember MySpace.
Yeah, I used to download my music there. There's still some stuff there. I can't remember my username, but there's still some of my music there, the beats and stuff, which is really, really cool. But that's where I also met my first sexual encounter, and also my girlfriend.
Yeah.
So of course, you know, and this is something I now teach the youth, you know, of like what you expect if you watch porn.
Yeah.
Because what you expect if you watch porn and you're single and so on and so forth, before you know it, you want to experience a real thing, you know?
Of course.
And start fantasizing about
that.
Yeah. Now, the problem is, I didn't have self-respect. I didn't value myself. I'm insecure, and I'm, you know, and this and the other. And so, like attracts like, and I just met someone just the same, if not maybe worse. But yeah, you know, well, yeah, the reason why I say that is because when I met her, I mean, porn was great, but because it was something new to me, and experiencing pleasure for the first time, you know, experimenting. But then having my first sexual encounters, I mean, I was hooked, you know, and I used to love it, you know, hanging around with her, and I had her on tap, so on and so forth. And
yeah.
We were just hanging around all the time. She got on with my mates, and we got on. It was toxic at times because she was loud and this and the other, and I was as well. We were just wild. And what ended up happening one day is me and my parents had an argument, and I think this was like the third time by now that I had packed up my stuff, and a couple of times before I roamed the streets with my suitcase. Yeah. My mum ends up driving around looking for me, and she found me and come back home and blah blah blah. Well, this third time round, I left to hers and moved in with her for 7 years.
Okay, long time.
Yeah, for 7 years, backs and forwards, from hers to my parents, literally every weekend, if not every other weekend. It was just arguing with her, arguing with my parents, because she was just insecure. Little things like she'd always think I'm messing around, I'm talking to another girl, or this and the other, or she didn't like that I watched porn, or because she'd be at work and this and the other, which I didn't know at the time that no, when you're in a relationship, it's not a healthy thing to do. Yeah,
because it would naturally create insecurities, wouldn't it?
Yeah. To her, she thought it was like cheating, really, you know. And I do realise now it's not something that there's not much integrity to have within the relationship, is there? So far as respect is concerned, to conduct yourself in that way when you're in a relationship as well. I get that now, because, you know, imagine your missus is watching gangbangs and stuff like that. You know, how would you feel?
Yeah, well, I can't do that.
You know the crew. He's bigger than me, you know.
But it's true, isn't it? I think when sometimes watching porn, let's say as a male straight man, I'm looking at the women, and then would sometimes the real women in my life meet those expectations?
Yeah,
possibly not.
No, false expectations. Yeah, for sure.
Or is my standard of woman that I like to watch porn on kind of meet?
Yeah.
Or is it even possible for me to achieve that sort of porn actress in the real world? Possibly not.
Oh, that's a whole separate conversation in itself, really. Yeah, just arguing. And I ended up in prison as well, which was a horrible time in my life.
Yeah.
Because we used to just argue. I remember the first time it was, she found an old phone. She found an old phone, and she went through the phone, and she found out I was talking to another girl.
Yeah.
Anyhow, the girl that I was talking to at the time was when I was just literally, I met her as well. And she was like, "Oh, you cheated on me. You said you want to go to the cinema." And I was like, "No, like, I just met you as well. I was talking to another girl, for crying out loud." But again, when I mentioned earlier on, one of my feelings growing up has always been I struggle with expressing myself and feeling like I'm talking to a brick wall, like I'm expressing myself for nothing. And sometimes I think I've realised recently that I eloquently, and I think we do often choose our words correctly to express what really, and sometimes we also struggle to also express what we really mean, right? And so going through this with having an argument with her, just expressing myself and just being shut down, always just was something that really just just boils my blood. Anyhow, couldn't say nothing to her. Again, feeling like I'm just talking to a brick wall. I walk off. I'm like, okay, I'm out. And I remember going into the car, and she quickly runs and gets into the car. And we were just screaming at each other. And I'm like, look, please, just go. And then before you know it, screaming, get out, get out, get out. And she just wouldn't get out. And I'm like, I've got to go. I've got to get away from you right now. So I got out the car. Went to the other side, and I literally just grabbed her by the hair, just yanked her out the car. Nut job, right? Jumped on top of the bonnet.
She did.
And held on. And held on. And yeah, I ended up driving off. I'm like, all right, I called a bluff. Just fucking jump out. I just want to get out. And I'm driving slow. And I had no choice. I parked up into the pub up there. Well, it just so happens there was undercover policeman in a thingy. Saw her there and then just watching us. We're arguing. And really strange looking back because I never put my hands on her, but there was CCTV, and it just so happened she fell, and that'll make sense in a minute. But anyhow, nothing really much came from that. Just a bit of a slap on the wrist. Oh no, tell the truth, I ended up having a go. It was scary because the solicitor said, look, there's a possibility you could go you could go inside.
Do a bit of time,
yeah. But I was able to see like a community lady or something like that, and it was really weird again because I remember expressing myself to her, and she made me feel like my parents are barbaric. I was talking about what was going on at home, and she made me feel like the way that my parents are really barbaric and quite abusive, which didn't feel nice. But she gave me my option. She said, look, you'll either have to do 3 months, or community. I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember community service.
Yeah.
Or it was something else. I can't remember what it was now. And I said I can't do community service. Oh, unsupervised suspension, something like that. So
okay.
If I don't get into trouble for 9 months, I'll be okay.
Suspended sentence.
Suspended sentence.
Yeah.
I think it was 6 months. And I chose that because I said I can't do the community service because I work as it is, and that will drive me mad. And it was okay again until it wasn't. One day we went out clubbing, and there was a pole dancer. Is it a pole dancer on the pole dancing?
Yeah.
So we had a nightclub dancing and this and the other. She's there on the pole. So she's in my peripheral vision, right? I can see her now and again. I'm just like, because this is right, and I look, and she's just going at me. Why you keep looking at her, and so on and so forth. Anyhow, we ended up having to leave, and I was just again because the same old thing, expressing myself for nothing, like blah blah blah. She's just there, causing and just nothing. Nothing I say is just being taken on board. But the reason I hung around really is just I didn't value myself, and I didn't believe that I could do any better. I tried to leave her so many times. She used to also just cheat on me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just didn't. I believed that I couldn't do. That was my perception of myself. I couldn't do any better, and I was lucky that somebody would want to be with me. But on the way home, we had to catch a train. This and the other, go back, and I remember she was, pretty good-looking lady. I remember a guy coming up to us, and he was like, "Hey, dude, you're a lucky guy, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." I can't remember what I said, but I was like, "Yeah, you don't know her." So we know that, right? Anyhow, she kicked off again. She kicked off, and she's kind of like, and I remember just go away. She stacked on the floor. before you know it, there was a guy, just came up to us. He was like, came up to me. Why don't you stick on someone your own size,
Yeah.
walking through town. And I was like, here we go. Now I'm going to have to fight some, ignorant to the situation, so-and-so, and this and the other. We managed to diffuse it. We're walking home. And it was one of these things where when we arrived at our place, to the place where we lived, we did what we always did, which was make love. Having sex made everything all right.
Yeah.
Rid our wrongs. And I remember we both got naked, and she's like this. And I was like, it really puts me off when you hold your breasts. She was just insecure. And she was just really insecure. And I remember saying something else, and that's it. We started arguing again. And anyhow, I was like, fuck this again. Another one of those experiences. Mommy, come pick me up. Back to my parents, right? That was my life for 7 years. And anyhow, as I go, Mommy, come pick me up, I forgot my phone. So I walked back. I was like, shit. I walked back, and I'm literally on my hands and knees trying to find my phone. I couldn't find my phone. And she boots me, she kicks me, and then all of a sudden I just get up. And I've never really known my own strength, but just trying to defend myself, she's just getting pushed about and battered all over the place, Again, never put my hands on her, but just, So anyhow, I didn't end up finding my phone. Mum came pick me up, and the following day, I had the police come over. Basically, bless her, she went to go to a payphone to call me and apologise and so on and so forth. And the policeman passed by and saw that she was bruised and so on and so forth. And that's it. She didn't know really what she was. She didn't really know that anything would be incriminating. And just took to someone's. She was vulnerable, and didn't really know the repercussions of everything that was going to end up happening. Anyhow, I got taken. I got taken that night. The following day, the police took me, and I just at this point in my life, I didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't know who to reach. I couldn't talk to Mum. I couldn't talk to Dad. I couldn't talk to my brother. I couldn't talk to my sister. I just didn't know who to talk to about what was going on, and I just bleh. And I was in custody in the interrogation.
Yeah.
I just incriminated myself. I didn't know that. I thought I could get the help, and support. Just like explain the situation, but I didn't know that everything that you say will be used against you. Anyhow, a couple of hours on the door, and it's a solicitor. He was like, "Mate, why didn't you wait for me? Why did you open your mouth?"
Sometimes you don't know any better. You just don't know, do you?
No.
Yeah.
He said, "You shouldn't have had opened your mouth. I can't help you now." Yeah, that was it. I've got 6 months, done 3. One of the worst experiences of my life.
Yeah.
Absolutely hell. Prison was hell. I went downhill from there.
Yeah. What was that like for you?
Scary. Just scary. Just always just scared for my life. Just scared for my life. The first time was I spent time with these 2 dudes who were smoking brown or foil.
Okay. Yeah.
And I remember being in my bunker, and they literally just come up to me, and they were like, just kind of like, So, so if you woke up with a condom hanging out of your ass, would you snitch?
Yeah.
So I'm just like that's I'm just I can't even express it. I'm just like, what the fuck, and I'm just kind of like on my guard, on the edge, and just But the same but prison was I lost so much weight. I really went downhill after that. I came out, started smoking more weed. We're still arguing.
So you're still with the same girl at this time?
Yeah, I'm still with her. Going from job to job to job, and I'm just declining self-esteem. And I used to be a popular kid. I used to know everyone. I used to be social. And this time I'm just a recluse. I just played games, smoked weed, and as I said, going from job to job, I lost so much weight. My poor parents, I remember just again my self-esteem declining because I worked at a sausage factory towards the end, and I hated myself, man. I hated myself. You know what I've become, and just feeling like my deck of cards have been dealt, and I don't know. I'm just really in the fields. You know, I just hate my life. I didn't know at the time that I didn't again. I think maybe this is a big portion of my life, just unable to process reality of things. But I guess I think I was like borderline suicidal, but just didn't know either how to process that. You know, I
Yeah.
just hated myself and hated my life. I hated everything about it. But yeah, anyhow, one day she went on holiday, and when she went on holiday, I tried to get my revenge because she used to cheat on me. The last thing was with a manager, um, and I tried to get my revenge. And
Was cheating on her with somebody else?
yeah. I was talking to another lady. She never really came round. But all I know is when she came back from holiday, when she came back from holiday, she found out. She went through my laptop because that's what she did. Right, go to my phone.
Yeah.
This and the other. Anyhow, I don't know if it's because she saw it coming or something happened out on holiday. I don't know. All I was surprised we didn't argue. And we decided to make love again because our our wrongs, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what came over me, but I said, "Shall we have a baby? Shall we
Okay.
make a baby?"
Sometimes some people think if we have a child, it's going to fix a relationship, but
Yeah.
it's not always the case, is it?
No, not at all. Not at all. It was okay until it wasn't. Eventually, we moved to my parents. We lived there in the lounge. When we had our son, oh my God, I fell in love hard, man. You know, hard.
It's a different love, isn't it? It's a different love,
man. And it's a kind of love that's almost killed me, really. But anyhow, we ended up finding a place. But bless her, you know, I still smoked weed. I was never right in my right mind, you know. So I get that. But the arguments, I hated the arguments. I couldn't stand the arguments in front of my son. It used to kill me, man.
Yeah.
It used to kill me, especially because she was so abusive. You big nosy Portuguese brat, this and the other, you know. She really knew how to press my buttons.
Yeah.
It really hurts me, you know. Like she knew what hurt. Anyhow, I ended up leaving back to mummy's. I just didn't know that when I left her, I was also leaving my son. I didn't know that, and that was different. You know, that hit me different. And then before you know it, it's the one way she used to use that as a weapon against me. Now, around that time with her, we used to hang around. We've been clubbing, we've done some pills, a little bit of coke here and there. It was like a bit of a luxury. Something you do on
quite
a rare
recreational.
occasion. On a rare occasion. But I never knew that one day I'd end up having problems. Anyhow, when I left her, I was getting used to sometimes being punished or not able to have my kid, or then having my kid because she wanted to go out on a date, and there was a lot of moments that used to kill me because she'd drop off the kid and dressed up, dolled up, and you knew what time it was.
Yeah.
So I was a really dark hole, obviously heartbroken, this and the other, back of my parents. My parents, of course, despaired of me. And you couldn't say nothing to me as well because I couldn't take constructive criticism or accept the reality of things because there's consequences to our actions, right?
Absolutely.
And the fact that I've been reckless, I just couldn't see it and just in denial, always just fighting back. And I used to hate my mum used to do my head in.
Like most mums are, isn't it? Most mums do the same.
Yeah.
It's because they want the best for us, but then actually, as children or young adults, we think we know better. But we obviously don't.
No, anyhow. I was looking forward to, I started plastering. I started a job as a plasterer. And luckily I found a trade. That was an amazing opportunity for me. But hard work. I used to want to come home sometimes crying. He was mad as a box of frogs. Mad, old school. He was an old boxer from Reading Town as well. So really loud and about that lifestyle. And it was just a nightmare. So I found him to do the job centre as a driving job. He lost his licence, which is just how I got the job. And so I was driving the van. Every day I go pick him up. He was either 20 minutes late or every morning, this went on for weeks. Come in the van, throw his phone up against the dashboard. Oh, the missus, this and the other, and really from the get go, I'm just, and then throughout the day, just like sometimes he'd intimidate me, like I'm a no good for nothing piece of shit, and this and the other, I ain't worth my money and my gold, my weight, and so, but luckily I stuck at it. But anyhow, I was looking forward to having my son during the week, and came Friday, I was due to have my son. We got in a little altercation. She said, "You can go fuck yourself now. You're not having your son." So I knew what was going to happen. I was going to get rejected all night, crying, messaging her, so on and so forth. I really don't know, still to this day, what got over my head, what came over me to just call around and score some cocaine. I really don't know where that came from. I really don't know. I guess an association from a past experience, and I thought, F it. But it just seemed like a good idea then, is all I know.
Yeah.
Anyhow, when I called, he said, I ain't got none, but I do have MCAP. I've got methadone.
Yeah.
So it just so happens, right, 15 years ago, there was a legal high.
Is it plant fertilizer, isn't
plant
it?
fertilizer, yeah. That was legal.
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff was lethal.
Yeah. I know a few, because I work in children's homes. Some of the kids I worked with, I was addicted to that, and there was after nuts.
That was
After
lethal.
nuts. Yeah.
I can't. And can you imagine how, what kind of? I mean, I don't want to get a bit deeper, but what kind of society are we living in that was even passed through?
Yeah.
Because someone knew exactly what was going on and the repercussions.
Yeah.
Right. But that stuff, mate, that's one of the most lethal drugs I've ever done. I've never done heroin or anything else, but that, compared to cocaine, that was lethal.
Yeah.
That was lethal. Anyhow, it was dead cheap, and I was like, yeah. Ended up getting some. Man, I used to live in my parents' lounge. So my brother used to live upstairs, mum and dad obviously in their room, sister as well with her boyfriend, and I'm there in the lounge. And I remember just racking up a massive line, and yeah, all of a sudden everything just disappeared. All my problems, all the thoughts and the overwhelming feelings. I was just vibing, and all of a sudden I'm just making music and I'm enjoying myself. I remember all of a sudden. But of course, something I was accustomed to back then was, at the end of the day, at the end of the night, I'll watch a bit of porn. I'll watch a bit of porn. I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Yeah.
At all. I ended up having another line in this, and the other line in bed. Didn't know what the hell I was doing. Off with the fairies. All of a sudden, horny. The euphoria hit over me. Because all of a sudden, instead of messing around with music, I was just there by myself and everything, and I just remember this euphoria flooding over me. And I watched porn, and all of a sudden, my jaw just dropped to the floor. My jaw just dropped. It was like everything that I had experienced to date was like, this feel. I hear myself sometimes, and even though I want to say, you're hearing yourself, right? I was just about to say. So, ladies, I hope you're wearing pads, and guys, just real talk. but I remember just every stroke just feeling like an orgasm in itself,
Oh, okay.
and just jaw just dropped, just engulfed in pleasure I've never experienced in my life. Well, with everything going on, I've not only just found my escape, my medicine, the solution to my problems.
Yeah.
I also, formed a love affair with drugs, and it's all I lived for. I remember I led myself to believe the only fun thing to do. I was still a recluse. I found out as well my best friend was making advancements on my daughter's mother. He had been making advancements for ages. So at that point as well, I just really everyone could just F off from my life. Just F off, and it was just me and the drugs. And I led myself to believe the most fun thing that I could imagine, the only thing that I'd want to do. I remember also having this moment that if a meteor came down, that it was going to be the end of the world, I'd spend my last moments getting fucked up watching porn.
Yeah.
Just really lost soul, really lost soul. And but the problem is something that was kind of recreational,
And was that MCAT still your sort of your
Yeah,
choice?
yeah. And I just used to consume more and more and
Mhm.
more. Now, what I didn't say is obviously, that evening, especially being in the lounge, what ended up happening was I remember waking up in the morning and the birds are chirping. The birds might as well be speaking about you, like, yeah, well, guy, yeah, mate, has been up till all night, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden it hit me like, fuck. You couldn't, because let's be honest, right? Masturbation's got such a distinctive sound as well. But I think that's what really spiraled me really deep into the drugs because, fuck, what have I done? I've shamed myself.
Yeah.
I live with myself now. So yeah, that really is what I live for the drugs. At what time? It's something just over the weekends, every weekend. Even when I had my son, I remember this. Forgive myself in this moment, but I remember even just forcing my son to sleep. Just so I could just go to the Friday night. But yeah, but then it would be every available opportunity that I got really to just get on it. Um, Sad reality is, well, things ended up getting a lot worse, and this is why I do a lot of my stuff now, advocating for mental health,
Mhm.
you know, and saying that a lot of the things that I do because a lot of guys are suffering in silence. And
Yes, absolutely.
See, me personally, what ended up happening as well. I'm a straight man.
Yeah.
I'm heterosexual, and but the drugs just made me do some crazy stuff. Lowers your inhibitions. I started to, I remember very, very vividly, like parts of my perineum was pulsating, and I'm starting to explore different aspects of my anatomy, right, and doing some weird stuff that I wouldn't often do. And I remember looking.
Such as what, if you don't mind me asking?
Sorry.
What kind of weird stuff would you do?
Experimenting with my prostate.
Okay.
Yeah, stuff like that. Just trying to insert my bits and bobs.
Oh, okay.
Even
So
my
you see what
cock
you
up
mean
my
there.
own thing, man. Doing some weird stuff, man. But that was me down to a thing. I used to love it. I purposely do massive lines, and just literally, I'll be on another planet. Planet bloody pleasure, man. And yeah, so I remember the thing is, I remember when I first started exploring. And I was like, what the fuck was that all about? Because if that felt great under the doing normal stuff, it's like, why was that so much more intense?
Yeah.
You just intensified the feeling of even the usual habit, intensified stuff. And I remember just like it was just having so many experiences, one of which I'm like, how is it even possible that you can experience that much pleasure?
Yeah.
When I started doing research, I found out that guy has a prostate, this and the other. When stimulated, they can have multiple orgasms like a woman does. And that's why. And I was like, oh, so it became a bit of a fascination, a curiosity, one of which I specifically wanted to do drugs for one thing only. Again with the porn, but it just got more, whatever. I started to now seek women.
Mm-hmm.
But I was having a couple of weird experiences with women, one of which, they were just as insecure as I was. We'd talk about it, talk a good game, but in front of one another, face to face. It was like, I'm in my head, and I want to have an experience, but I couldn't allow myself to have the experience. And but then on the come downs and withdrawals and the panic attacks and the paranoia, it was just hell being with another person, just as edgy as you, and it was like hell. So then I just started preferring being by myself. Well, cut a long story short, I ended up meeting a woman. She used to like to have experiences with me. I think we were just both needing excitement, both needing company, both needing intimacy, and so on and so forth. Both.
How old would you be at this time? Sorry.
30 years old, something like that. I'm 39. Yeah, about 32 years old. And so we both provided one another what we needed at the time, and it was beautiful, man. She was amazing. She was so loving, such an amazing lady. But at one point she said, there's more to life, and she was right. And now and again, we used to still seek experiences in a blue moon, but I could just never help myself if I had it, and end up doing it. And she used to just, used to do her head in. You know. But anyhow, the problem is in the relationship as well is that would never fulfill me. She would never want to pleasure me the way that I've, 10 years at this point. No, sorry, 7 years. The problem is with everything that I was doing with drugs. This is part of the reason why I got weirder and weirder, and more insane and insane and insane, insane. Because I was always chasing an experience I could never have.
Yeah.
Never been able to have an ejaculation. Never been able to have the experience that I wanted to, because I was always like a meerkat, always paranoid, always just self-conscious, always wondering if anybody's watching, and always just,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and sadly with her as well, never with the common, her being able to meet me, just added complications as well. One of which I had no choice, because I had an obsession, I had an addiction as well. So
yeah.
Anyhow, but we eventually ended up having a daughter. Everything ended up happening. I started a business plastering. I now went on to have a business myself.
Yeah.
I went from earning £400 to over £1,000 a week. I was doing well, but I had the opportunity to knock on the head. I was MCAT wasn't available anymore in the streets. Something to do with China. It was made illegal, so the streets was dry. Here's a sad reality. I remember calling around. This was my opportunity to pack it in. Called around the dealer, trying to substitute, and I even asked him. He was like, "Oh yeah, what's coke like? Does it also make you horny?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. anyhow, it was more expensive. Ended up having a daughter, and what do? I guess innately I knew that I had to be the protector for the family. Having a girl, it hits different.
Yeah, I've got 3 daughters. I have.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. my condolences. But yeah, having a daughter is just different. It's different. And I started taking steroids.
Okay.
I started taking steroids, and backward thinking me, just trying to be the protector and so on and so forth. Really, when I just had to protect really the family from me, I just made things worse. I was very highly strung. Very just when we had arguments, I just raised my voice through the rooftops. Look, one evening she used to give me ultimatums whilst we were arguing, but it was something that I was used to most of my life. One of which, people say nasty things when they are angry.
Yeah.
And they don't mean it. And so we used to have arguments, and she used to say a lot of stuff such, "I'm going to leave you." But I thought, I thought she was just, it was one of those, right? We never really spoke to one another, day to day. I couldn't really say anything because I was self-conscious, and I suppose as well she didn't want any drama. But yeah, one evening, one afternoon, I raised my voice through the rooftop. That was it. She was up the stairs with my daughter in her arms. Just grabbed the stuff, walked back down, ran outside, slammed the door, and walked into the car, and after she left. And I remember dropping like a sack of potatoes, just crying my eyes out, screaming. I think I was there for at least a couple of hours, really, just in deep pain.
Yeah.
That was it. It was over. She never ended up coming back. So yeah, it wasn't easy. Some stuff ended up happening between my daughter and my son. Something I don't really want to talk about, but it was something that was very complicated and very hard to process. And from that moment moving forward, I was unable to see my daughter for a year. She ended up blocking me for social media and so on and so forth. It was a scary point in my life because I remember fantasizing if the kitchen knife to my throat was a way to go about it. And I remember it just being such a dark thought. I could see it so vividly.
Yeah.
And it just terrified the living out of me. I saw it so vividly, the whole process, and it was a bit too much.
Would you say that was because of not being able to see your children, or
Not being able to see my daughter. You know, for the second time, this had happened now in my life. You know, being a single father, and not having any rights, not having no say, no one cares about me at all, and you know, um, I remember it was crazy. I remember saying to my sister as well, "This is how bad it was. No one's fault, of course, but I remember saying to my sister, I'm in a really bad place. You know, I'm having these dark thoughts and I'm suicidal." And bless her, I remember I was turning around and saying, "People that are suicidal don't say that they're suicidal. You're just saying that for attention." And that's how bad it felt. Like it's just like I just yeah, it just I'm on my own and I don't know how to I just don't know how to just what the fuck do I do?
Yeah, because things like that would that kind of create then comments like that create more sort of embarrassment and shame.
Yeah.
So then next time you're not going to try and talk, are you?
Yeah, just like abandonment, really. Like just feeling like, yeah. Well, hey, one thing led to another, and I ended up having a huge relapse. I ended up doing drugs, and that night.
Also, at this point, had you stopped the drugs?
Oh no, I was still doing it. Yeah, Tony did work, and Tony always did. And yeah, I remember one night just being at home, feeling like I was just going to draw attention to myself because I was part of the paranoia that all the neighbours could hear what I'm up to. And I remember that night. I talk about it in my books. I'm the author of The Lockdown on Self-Love, How to Make Suffering Work for You. I'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, please.
But I talk about, very open in my book about a lot of my experiences. But that evening, I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to leave the house. It was 10 o'clock, so it was dark. And I don't know why, I had this idea that I was going to go running, put my hands down my pants and off my tits, and that the motions of me running and my hand down my pants would be like I'm fucking. I'm running around, and I did. I'm running around in this and the other, and then I end up in the woods. And that night was very strange. I had I felt like I had a spiritual awakening, but I couldn't process it. I just saw. I always saw weird stuff under the influence, whether it was aliens, ghosts. Some demonic stuff. One night, running up the staircase and hearing, walking up the stairs with a knife, and I'm holding a knife. Just a lot of experiences under the influence. But this evening, out in the woods, it was just all of a sudden, I just felt like I teleported into another world. You know, our Mother Nature can feel very ancient, right? Can feel very mystical. And I was just having some very mystical experiences that I couldn't process. It just felt like the moon was alive. Anyhow, what's the whole point of this? Well, I felt like I had a night and a rite of passage that night. And at one point, it even just felt like I wasn't going to make it home. I was thirsty. Long story short, guys, if you want to hear the story, I'm sure a link will be available for Amazon. Get a copy. I highly recommend it, especially for anybody that's struggling with addiction and so on and so forth. Wants to also understand how to process your own trauma and how to move forward. Yeah, I highly recommend the book. But anyhow, the following day, the whole relevance of all of this was the following day, I ended up making it home. That following day, I ended up going on Facebook on a group, Plasterers Talk group. And I'm not really one to ever go through comments in this only ever really, but I remember seeing a post and it was like, somebody asked, what is the definition of success?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just going
Good question, to be fair, because it's subjective, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, very much so. And I remember going through the comments and somebody said, smoke dimethyltryptamine, and you soon know that it's an illusion.
Okay.
So I'm like always wanted to. Honestly, this was my reply. I've always wanted to try that. I don't know if it's because I've always been a bit of a conspiracy theorist. I love quantum physics. I'm fascinated about the universe and aliens and so on and so forth. Always have.
It's interesting, isn't it? It is interesting.
Yeah, and ghosts. I've always been fascinated about that. What goes on in CERN and and even the debates in Speaker's Corner. I love all that. I find it so fascinating. But anyhow, I really. So why do I say that? I don't know if it's because something I heard. I don't know if it was something I heard, but I said, yeah, I've always wanted to try that. And I really didn't know what the hell I was on about. And he messaged me, private messaged me. The first thing he asked was, do you smoke cigarettes?
Mm.
And I replied, yes, I smoke cigarettes. He was like, good. All right, cool. I can put you in contact. So he put me in contact, literally. I paid for it. And 3 days later, it arrived. Dimethyltryptamine. Dimethyltryptamine
So what is that?
Is a psychedelic
Okay.
that, what I came to find out, activates your third eye.
Yeah.
And you have a profound out-of-body experience. It's very interesting because dimethyltryptamine has been linked with near-death experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Near-death experience reports that have near-death experiences, and people who have who smoke dimethyltryptamine have one thing in common. You go through this white tunnel, and you access a different reality. One in which you might see angels, you might see entities, you access a different reality. You go into a different thing, right?
Yeah.
You might even experience God, or you experience different things. All right. And I had many experiences myself, one of which is massive entity, which you could just telepathically feel that he was like powerful, who grabbed me by the nostrils, because what do you make of experiences like this? Grab me by the nostrils and then just show me the whole universe. Like I'm on like, you know, the rides, you go,
yeah.
Because I'm even feeling, I'm being
told about it.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I'm being put and then brought back into my body, like, you know, how do you process this, you know? So I ended up having these experiences with dimethyltryptamine, one of which I experienced unconditional love. I'll never forget that. I cried. I realised in that moment that there's nothing wrong with me and so on and so forth. I realised that, you know, the importance of radical acceptance and radical responsibility, that I had a victim frame of mind, that I don't love myself, that I had a victim mentality, that I, you know, all sorts. And that propelled me into personal development.
Yeah.
See, when I experienced unconditional love, it just made me feel, for the first time in my life like there's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
Like I'm just a unique experience, having the experience. And yeah, and that's all it is. It's just an experience. We're all just different, and I'm just, you know, it's just that I wasn't taking care of myself, and I didn't know how to take care of myself. And the importance of personal development, really, as well. You know, in personal development in all our lives is so important.
Absolutely.
To grow, heal, and develop, and we ought to be investing into ourselves constantly. Our education, and you know.
You're never too big, never too old to learn, to grow, are you? To develop.
No. And yeah, so, well, all of this really just propelled me into, personal development and spirituality, you know, which for the first time in my life just added another layer to life. What was my spiritual awakening with dimethyltryptamine was as such. You know, in the Matrix, where Morpheus gives him the option for the blue pill.
Yeah, the blue pill.
Is it a red pill he takes? I can't remember.
Well, there's a conspiracy behind that, isn't there? It's because I think the conspiracy is he never ever says take the red pill, isn't it? And then, or he never says, well, see how far the hole goes.
Yeah, he gives him the choice. Yeah, he definitely gives him the choice. And I that's what I mean. I can't remember if it was a red pill or blue pill he took. But all I know is that experience, you know, with Neo, all of a sudden he takes the red pill or the blue pill. Yeah. I'm sure it's a red pill. And he ends up in that incubator with all that gunk that's inside and with all them pipes. And all of a sudden he just comes out the incubator. Right? Well, my spiritual awakening was like that. Like realising I've got a pipe, a cake, you know.
Plug in the back of your
head. And I'm like, you know, and I'm like, that's what I mean. I'm like, whoa. Like for the first time, like noticing I'm alive. Like all my life I've just been in amnesia.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what best way I like to describe it as spiritual awakening. And like, you know, from there was a realization that you know, everything that was going on in my life, I never realized that the most important relationship that you will ever have really is the one with your own self.
Yeah. Very true.
But
really important, isn't it?
Yeah, well, self-love wasn't a concept in my household.
Yeah.
In my household, it was always, criticism, and that breeds insecurity. you've got a chip on your shoulder, or be humble. Something that still winds me up about my mum is be humble.
Yeah.
Be humble. And it's like I always have to be if only I was someone else, then maybe I'll be enough, and maybe I'll be likable, and maybe, I wouldn't have a problem with my mum if just I was someone else.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know a great deal about psychedelics, but what I do know is sometimes people will get into the psychedelic experiences to sort of maybe start new chapters, and or even people that are creative, maybe singers, artists,
Yeah.
comedians,
Yeah.
do sometimes psychedelics to experience new experiences to recreate.
Yeah, well said. All it is it's an experience, really. And if you're fascinated about quantum physics or so on and so forth, as I have, it's been an eye opener, especially with a lot of the experiences I've had under the influence, under cocaine, but because of psychosis. When I started exploring with dimethyltryptamine, it was like I realised that there's so much more to life as we know it, and with everything that's mentioned, all the investigations that they do, for example, in CERN, and what they've realized about consciousness and reality, uh, is a fascinating one, because the way that what I found out about psychedelics in particular is it helps you tap into a different altered state of consciousness.
Yeah.
One of which, maybe this is just a dream. I mean, we all just making up as we go along, right? We don't know. We're just figuring out what this whole life is all about.
Yeah.
We just know that we have this life and we're going from day to day, just making up as we go along. Yeah, as I said, But I will say, however, having said that, the importance of doing your due diligence, and it's not the answer to anything. The answer is always within you. The answer is to do the work. The answer is that the biggest project you will ever work on is you, and to always invest into yourself. Of course, there's retreats available, breath work, so on and so forth, coaching, therapy, and so on and so forth. There's no answers to your problems other than you just taking radical responsibility and choosing to face the music. Really, that's the only answer, to go within. So I'll emphasize that. So personal development, right?
So I can quickly take a step back.
Yes, sir.
So when you went into the psychedelics,
Yeah.
what's it called?
Dimethyltryptamine.
Dimethyltryptamine.
Whatever DMT, yeah.
So would you still taking drugs then, or was that sort of the beginning of the end of the drugs?
It was the start of my journey. Start. What let me out from the drugs was the lockdowns happened.
Okay.
It wasn't long before the lockdowns happened after the breakup. It was about, I'd say, like 10 months going on to a year. I hadn't seen my daughter around the time we broke up, and all of a sudden the lockdowns happened. The lockdowns for me was just a gift, an opportunity to just pause, hit the brakes, reflect, introspect, and I took it upon myself to I just wanted to understand why I was so troubled. I didn't have anyone to talk to. I took it upon myself to talk to myself.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
And I took it upon myself, and I never knew that it would just turn into a conscious frame of work, and a whole trying to understand what led me to become the man that I was. I reverse engineered my life from that moment, from the lockdowns, just trying to understand myself, and went back in time, as far back to understand whether or not being birthed was perhaps our first traumatic, as if it wasn't bad enough for a mother being given birth. If perhaps coming out as well, being forced out was one of the worst experiences. I don't want to cry, right? And then tracing the steps, going back with everything that I mentioned so far as the drugs and so on and so forth, linking back to earlier on in my childhood, I found out why I hated myself and where a lot of my internal problems was from my childhood. So in Madeira, I ended up having a sexual encounter with another boy the same age as me. I had his bits and bobs in my mouth. He had my bits and bobs in his mouth, and that was it. In Madeira, I was groomed by older lads. Luckily, thank God, I was never because sometimes it happens, right? Luckily, I was never penetrated. But I know an elder guy walked us to the woods, and twice this happened with a different fella. Walked us into the woods, and he just flopped it out. I think I was like 9 then. He must have been 15, 16. and enticing us to do it. I remember not feeling comfortable, but the other guy feeling comfortable, and all of a sudden he's just penetrating the other guy, saying it's me around 9. Again, I didn't know who to express this. I couldn't talk
how
to
to
my-
respond.
No, I didn't know. I just remembered just laughing about it, sort of thing. But again, that ended up happening again. And so, what's the point of all of this? Well, I linked it all to realizing that, well, holy shit, a big part of my problems really is because I had unresolved trauma that I never was able to process. That I shamed myself for. I resented myself.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of my subconscious manifested all of that with the drugs to explore and make sense of everything. And, you know, when a seed is planted.
Oh, okay. So that might make sense then, in terms of when you said you're exploring the sexual stuff. Is that then maybe sort of curiosity back from when you as a 9-year-old that experience?
Yeah, because it makes sense. Because I used to question a lot sometimes, like because you get a lot of guys like, oh, that's gay. I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't touch that, and this and the other. And I suppose I'd be the same as well. You know, so trying to make sense of it is the only thing that really just adds up. You know, it adds up to be like, oh, all right, cool. Well, it was already there, and it just manifested that way, really.
Yeah.
So that's what's helped for me to just really introspection, the lockdowns and this and that. It's just been such a gift for me to just go within and just try to, just like the way that I like to do it. And by the way, guys, if anybody's interested, I'm a coach myself. I take men through this and rebuilding their life and overcoming their substance abuse. But yeah, it's a matter of just like, you know, going within and just, you know, you've got a blueprint, if you will. You've got this. This is what makes you you, and just being like, okay, cool, all right, cool. Well, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
And that's what the book was. The lockdown on self-love, how to make suffering work for you, was a great opportunity. Has it been easy? No, I was close to burning it all down to the ground, because when I spoke about my experience of you know, all the other stuff I talk about so openly, the last chapter as well, you know, warranted me burning it. Just so self-critical. What that was my biggest fear, like I'm just going to be a laughing stock for the rest of my life. But I got the courage to publish. I was going to publish under a pseudonym, but then I don't know. Something's been. I just feel. You know what I've been doing since my daughter's mother left me. I've just been following this voice, and whatever bit of hope, whatever's making me feel like, making me feel like there's something in this. I'm always following that. I'm following that voice, and that's all I've been doing. Just taking inspired action. That is what I've been doing. So I forgot what I said previous to that, but that's what I've been doing this whole journey. And the way I've been able to overcome drugs really is.
That would be my next question. What was like? Sorry, did you have like a moment of clarity where you sort of thought, "But this is the end," or was it like a gradual sort of stop to sort of, you know, redeveloping yourself?
Oh, it was hell. It was hell. I grew exponentially, too fast to even integrate. And so, why am I saying that is because, well, I had an awareness I never had before. And I try to come off everything. I come off the steroids, I come off the marijuana, I was trying to come off the cigarettes, off the porn, off masturbation, and everything. Just come teetotal, one of which trying to practice self-mastery and also understanding that the relationship I had with myself was fragile. Mm-hmm. So I had to build a rapport with myself, build trust. And the only way I didn't respect myself, so it began with trust. I had to build the foundations to form a healthy relationship. So to build trust for myself, so I had to, and it's to be able to then slowly respect myself, build pride, admiration, and slowly to be able to forgive myself and show myself compassion instead of being hard on myself, and to finally being able to love myself. Mm-hmm. But you know, that took some work, and it wasn't easy because I came off everything at once. I didn't know, you know, I know this the hard way now, and I'm grateful because now at least I can take this to clients. But you can't. It's one thing at a time.
Yeah,
you know, one thing at a time, which is
that's the wise thing to do, isn't it? But then it's also your path and your journey, isn't it?
But the steroids was the worst one, man. because I was a big fella.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you was taking someone, was you training then?
Yeah, I've trained since I was 15 anyhow, but I was a big fella, man. I was a tank. I lost so much weight, so much weight, and so that wasn't easy. I mean, losing weight if you're carrying a bit, yes, okay, but when it's muscle, that hits you different, and it did
Yeah.
hit me different. My
Yeah.
self-esteem just and I crashed, and and I was struggling with mental health, massively, 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 and then I'm also having to heal through allowing myself to publish the book, from putting it out there, and always. I don't know. Still to this day, when I receive reviews and it's top rated, it's doing really well. I find it's like I'm still expecting criticism. I don't know why. Like I'm still expecting. Oh, you should be disgusted with yourself and this and I'm expecting. All it is just sometimes it's just like, whoa, like this is some. I've got one review which just says, "Wow, powerful." It's like. This doesn't make it.
You're kind of waiting for the negative.
Yeah, I'm still, yeah, but I've healed. I'm now able to. What initially was, I could do that, but vocalizing it, different story. I'm thankful for the growth. Really, what helped with my rehabilitation was, well, who do I need to be in love with myself in my life? And who do I need to be? One of which I create a lifestyle. One of which, well, that version of myself doesn't exist anymore. That version of me doesn't do this, because how can you compromise yourself, God willing, And I never used to love myself. I used to never respect myself. I've never been so comfortable under my own skin, and so I couldn't compromise myself even if I wanted to, because that void that was there before. I've been nurturing myself. I've been, like that heaviness there, like being able to, for the first time, provide myself the safety and love.
Kind of watering yourself. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but I created myself as a coach. I just created I created meaning and purpose in my life, and it's something I'm so grateful for, because for most of my life I just thought like, I'm just an oxygen thief. I'm better off dead. So yeah, it's all been about this, and it's why I'm so honoured to be a substance substance abuse and lifestyle transformational coach, because this is exactly
it's amazing.
It's exactly what I've been doing in my own life. Whatever good it takes to just make me feel like, yeah, this is worth fighting for.
Yeah.
This is what brings my life meaning. This is what, and just creating opportunity. Look, it's not been easy, even with the book. The book cost me like £20,000 to be able to publish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I worked with the trauma-informed coach at the time.
Yeah.
Which is why I went on to be on a coach, because when I experienced coaching, it was for the first time in my life. I never felt so held, so comfortable, like so seen, so you're safe. You just tell me more, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. No one interrupted me. No one making me feel judged. No one making me feel like, I'm some sort of piece of shit or whatnot. And then, like I said, this is where it came from. Like, show me who you are, and let me reflect it back at you. And where do you want to start?
Yeah.
And that's been also the root cause of my the core of even my coaching and so on and so forth, which is to just imagine if another version of you materialized before your own eyes, right, from the future, with all of life sciences. Just literally said to you, hey, how can I help you?
Yeah.
How can I support you? What areas of your life would you like to improve? Where should we start?
Yeah.
And so,
because I think there is something in it, isn't there? Rather than if we walk into a room, for example, and I've got a qualification to sort of say I can deal with addiction and this and that, and then you can walk into a room and sort of say, yes, I've got a qualification, but actually I've been there. I've lived that experience.
I've lived there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
There's something to that.
Yeah, which is I'm so grateful. I'm grateful. I'm really, really grateful, because if I would have still, I don't know, I'm just really grateful. I never knew that. Yeah, I never knew, and more than ever, People don't want to go to the doctors.
Yeah.
People don't want to go to the. People want first hand. Hey, how did you do that?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Can you help me? Can you show me this? Same. And that's pretty much what coaching is. It's leadership. That's what it is.
Yeah.
How can I take you from A to B faster than I can myself?
Yeah.
Yeah,
kind of the easiest, best way, isn't it, I suppose?
Yeah.
So what would you say life has taught you?
What life has taught me?
Yeah.
Oh, great question. Life has taught me that the only thing that's promised to us all is death.
Yeah.
And all we have from now to then is choices. And whilst we have the ability to make choices, well, we might as well make better choices.
Yeah. Or the best choices that we can
Yeah.
in the situation that we're in. What's the best advice you've been given?
Nothing in life defines you. You are the one that gets to define it.
Yeah. Okay. So also kind of asking now you're clean and sober and a coach and doing really well for yourself and you've written a book, what now keeps you sort of motivated and disciplined to keep doing what you're doing?
Oh man, experiences like this, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to a college tomorrow, giving a speech to the youth.
Absolutely love that.
And yeah, just loads of ideas. I'm releasing the audio book. I'm working on a daily planner journal made specifically for addicts. It's called Your Accountability and Personal Development Companion. Keep an eye out for that. Yeah, that's I can't wait for that. Another book, and yeah, a lifetime still. I'm 39 years old, and that's been something as well that I've realised. Sometimes in life we can feel like our deck of cards has been dealt and handed, and that's it. That's your life. That's your fate. But it's not. The thing is, if the most important relationship is the one with your own self. The trouble is that sometimes, considering that is a fact, and it is if you come to think about it, but the trouble is sometimes you ask people and they don't think it is. They think it's family or even sometimes it's even God, and that's cool, but really think about it. But if that was to be true, it's really sad that often what we don't have is time for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Time to just introspect, time to ask the big questions in life, and also to realize what is it that we're tolerating. Are we tolerating our own behavior, our limited beliefs, the way that, and even how much money we're using, our career, and this and the other, knowing that we've got still so much time ahead of us, because that was something that ended up happening for me 5-6 years ago, one of which I was like, I'd already committed that I was going to be a plasterer for the rest of my life, and I'm miserable. I hate it. I hate my job, and to think I was, if it wasn't for what ended up happening, it's been really hard, horrible. Someone that I loved walked away. I thought she was. I proposed to her. I thought she was going to be my future. But if she hadn't left, life wouldn't have. It's not been easy. It's not been easy at all. But life wouldn't have unfolded as beautiful as it has for me to just have the realization that we have to give life our best shot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've mentioned this on the podcast a few times already. It's seeing the Equalizer 3, Denzel Washington. He says, and a part of that.
The third one, the recent one.
Yeah. He says, and a part of that is, you're exactly where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that works on the good and the bad. So let's say you talk about your story and your girlfriend leaving. Without them experiences, would you have become the man you are today? Because I can sit here and talk about my own experiences, and I think without them experiences, I probably wouldn't be the man I am today. I wouldn't be the father, the boyfriend, just the man that I am today.
Would you go back in time though?
Yes, I would, but if in retrospect would I change it? I'm not too sure, because I'm now fairly confident, fairly secure, fairly happy.
Love that.
In who and what I am today.
Amazing. The only reason why I asked that, I wouldn't go back in time for shit. I want to relive all of that ever again. No. Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I survived.
Yeah.
I never realised. I remember going to a CA meeting. CA meetings didn't work for me. Luckily, I did it on my own, really, the recovery. Luckily, everything ended up happening as it did.
That's a brave and strong thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, but I almost forgot my train of thought, really. I forgot my train of thought.
You wouldn't want to go back to the past?
Yeah, I forgot my train of thought. Yeah, there was a point to it. Yeah.
No problem. So, for you probably going to cover this a little bit anyway, but for young people or anyone struggling with say porn and drugs or just that are insecure, what advice would you give to them?
Look, what advice could I give them? Look, you've got a big life ahead of you. It's to just take radical responsibility. See, what I learnt in life is that like attracts like, and often we attract who we are. And if you think about it, who you are being is everything, and you will never outdo who you are being. And so, you've got to realize, you've got to ask yourself the question: do I respect myself? Do I love myself? And am I acting with integrity? Only you know the answer. But if you don't love yourself, you don't respect yourself, just look at look at the way that you're living, because there's consequences to your living. We all want a decent life. We all want a good life. We all deserve a good life. If you tap deep inside of you, you know you deserve that. You've got to take radical responsibility, and you've got to play the long game. You've got to play the long game. Stop expecting things are just going to work out, and it's going to work out next week, next month, next year. No, things might take 10 years, but it's worth it, because I see a lot of youth like this who's like, oh, well, I don't care. I don't care. Why would I care about when I'm 40, 50 years old? That's them. But you're going to be that version, and there's consequences to our actions. Everything compounds. So, again, a beautiful question is to ask is, am I living from integrity? And do I love myself, and do I respect myself? Because depending on where you are in that spectrum within yourself, that relationship with yourself, henceforth your decisions. Because depending on, right, there's no comparison, right? If you love and respect yourself, your decisions is going to be in according to that, right? So, you know, sometimes it means making sacrifices, might be our friends and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, you have to value your life. But only you can make that decision that your life matters.
So what you're saying then? What's the beauty then? If I'm someone who struggles with those things and beyond, what's the beauty that you're in that I need to be at? Why do I need to work hard to sort of get clean and be proper? And
Well,
I know it's quite a tough question, isn't it? But
it's like this question: Do I want to be in love with myself in my life, and do I want to live a remarkable life? Yes or no?
yeah,
Yes or no?
great answer.
Well, are you going to pay the price or what? Pay the price. You're paying the price regardless. We're always paying the price, right? I paid the price. It's been hell. Luckily for me, not many are lucky. Sorry, this is what I meant. I remember going to a CA meeting and someone said, "Wow, we're walking miracles." I'm a walking miracle. I really am. There's so many, it's been. I've literally walked through hell. But if you're walking in hell, the beauty about walking through hell is that you can walk out of there. But only you can make that choice. At the end of the day, look what I said earlier on. Nothing in life defines you.
Yeah,
Ultimately, you're the one that gets to define it. But only you can make that choice.
very very true and very nice. What's your greatest achievement?
Finally growing the fuck up. Man, I'm so grateful. I've got kids. I've got a life ahead.
They're an absolute blessing, aren't they?
Yeah, but it's been tough. Being a single father has been one of the hardest things I've experienced in life.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, very hard. But life goes on, and this is where it really came from. Even recent, my daughter's mother, using the kid as a weapon. Oh, she hates my guts. She hates what I do online, and that I write a book and this and that. I asked her, she should be happy for me. Anyhow, time's a healer, time's a healer, and that's what it is. But where I was going with this is that, and I forgot my train of thought again. This is where the most important relationship came from. That and my message is that the most important relationship is the one with your own self, and that the biggest project you will ever work on is yourself to give life your best shot. And that came from, I'm like, I'm a dick to myself. Like I'm so shit about myself. I don't love, I'm just, so it was just like, no one gives a shit about me. Felt like, oh, no one cares. And then I realised I didn't care.
Yeah, that's it. And then for me to care about you, you've got to care about yourself, don't you? What's your favourite quote or saying, if you have any?
I don't, but I suppose maybe you'll help to say that be careful who you ask advice from,
Oh, yeah, very true, very good.
because people can only meet you halfway as they meet themselves.
Yeah.
For instance, you can't. The trouble is with many of us, and I don't know if you can relate, but growing up, I've got a good idea, but you ask mom and dad and this and the other, and they're like, no, that's a stupid idea,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So just ask, don't shy away to even reaching out to someone that you idolize, or you see a businessman in the streets, someone wearing a suit or whatever, to just approach them and say, hey, and pick their brain. Because why not? You've got to take chances. And again, you can't ask business advice from someone that's never run a business or
Yeah.
knows anything about business. So just to put that in perspective, and the same goes for all things in life, relationships. You got addiction, just speak to somebody that has been there, done that, got the t-shirt, that can provide you the best of advice. Because the problem is sometimes we internalize things, and that's half of the problem. Sometimes we internalize other people's truths, and the reason why it's really important to that's an important awareness, is because often people only project their insecurities and limitations. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. Because I'm into like sort of motivational stuff and motivational quotes and things, and I seen this one on Instagram, and it sort of said, "Never seek advice of somebody who's not in a position where you don't want to be."
Exactly.
And I thought it's so true, though. It's
very, very true.
So true.
Yeah.
What are 3 fundamentals that you live by?
Help me elaborate with fundamental. I'm quite tired.
Okay, so
mentally,
in terms of what are your key attributes in life, or what do you sort of believe in? So, for example, mine would probably be manners and respect, and kind of be humble. Whereas I'm not better than anybody else, and nobody else is better than me. We're all just people.
Yeah, well, I'm still working through that to embody humility, and love and compassion, because at the end of the day, geez, man, we're all struggling with battles, we don't know about, right? And and we just got this one life. We've got this one life, and something that I'm a firm believer that it's been a huge question of mine all my life. It's like this don't make sense.
Yeah,
we alive. How's this possible? As war, poverty, this, that, and the other.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense to me. So it's something that I'm very my fundamental is just compassion, humility, and love is something that we need a lot more of.
very, very true. So true. So I do this thing, whereas towards the end of every podcast, I ask the person that I'm interviewing to ask a question for the next guest.
Okay.
And the last person asked for you,
okay,
who is important to you in life?
Oh, who's important to me in my life? That's a really, really good question. Who's important in my life? Isn't it interesting when it comes to kids, right? Who's your favourite one? Who's your favourite one? I do kind of have a favourite one, but my daughter means the world to me. Yeah, my daughter means the absolute world to me.
Love that.
Yeah,
love that. I don't sometimes think I'm a really proud dad. I come from a single parent home, which was mother. I don't think dads get the credit they deserve. I don't think dads get sort of mentioned and get the support and the sort of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of the support in terms of all the fight for dads.
The acknowledgement, right?
Yeah. So I really love that. And then for the next guest, what question would you want to ask?
Oh man, if you could have any superpower, what would that be and why?
Oh, I like that. Okay.
That would make a huge difference in the world.
Yeah. Okay, and I'll ask that question to you then.
Oh, seriously. Seriously. Oh man. That's a really good question, because you realise think that people take things for granted, so it could spiral out of control. Look, I just hope you would just just that we all find peace
Mm-hmm.
in the world. You know, I guess if I could just start,
Yeah.
we'll just find peace with one another and ourselves, and you know, make the most of this life. Nice. You know, I understand life can be hard if we put a hand on our heart. You know, it's can be hard being human, but to just, you know, it's if we could avoid suffering and so on and so forth. Yeah, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice one.
I feel like what was one of those the women that dress the clothes and dresses and not a cheerleader, but
Sure.
you know they do that contest of the most beautiful woman in the world.
Oh, like not a pageant. Beauty contest. Is it?
No, more
Miss Universe.
Miss Universe, something like that, and then they give a speech about what we're doing in the world. I almost had one of those experiences. Well, peace.
Yeah, talk about something that probably know nothing about. Wow. So what does the future look like for you, mate?
Oh, yeah, I'm on the edge of my seat, to be honest with you.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm on the edge. I've built a business called Uvolve. For anybody that wants to contact me, it's www.u-volve.co.uk. I'm sure there'll be a link as well for my book. And yeah, TikTok, I'm on TikTok. My tag is UVOLVE with Antonio. But yeah, I'm very thought provoking. I'm very out there. So yeah, trigger warning. You might be a bit, but you heard this podcast, so
Yeah. But to be fair, in terms of your TikToks and anything you want to promote, we'll put all that out there for you. I'll do a separate TikTok as well and video to sort of promote you and what you do, along with sort of the links into this.
Cool.
Anything else you want to finish up on?
No. Thanks again for having me over here.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for making the time, and yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Nice
appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Antonio, nice one. Oh, you're making a mess. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Yes.